Welcome to the Movies and Stuff Show, everybody. I'm Abe, and joining me is Dan. Dan, all you had to do was give me the goddamn key. Then we could get on with our lives.
Well, what can I say? What can I say?
I can see what you can say. That's right, boys and girls. Gearing up for Halloween, Dan and I will be talking Demon Night. So get your guacamole ready because we're going into the crypt. Tales from the Crypt Demon Night is the first and best entry in the trilogy of Tales from the Crypt movies. And while that may sound like a backhanded compliment, that's certainly not my intent. Demon Night is fun, it's over the top, and it's a gory good time. The story may not be totally original, but the idea behind the movie is clever and certainly kept my interest. The cast is great and seems to be having a ball, and maybe it's better to have one too many Dutch angles than one too few. I remember seeing this and the last good John Carpenter movie, In the Mouth of Madness, back to back in the theater. Hell, maybe just like a week or two apart. And I know the 90s are much maligned for horror, with good reason. But 1995 started off and continued to be, I think, an interesting year in horror. But we're just talking Demon Night. So Dan, what do you think of Demon Night?
You know what's funny is when you were talking before and you were saying that it's the first of a trilogy of Tales from the Crypt movies. I didn't even remember that. The Demon Knight's the only one that I remember.
Yeah.
And for good reason. It's a fun movie. It's got some great performances in it. Billy Zane is just wild and is having a blast in it. Him and William Sadler going toe-to-toe. Just really great. We had William Sadler on our show, and he talked a little bit about Demon Night, and just a great guy, great actor. It's fun, and rewatching it after all these many, many years, special effects, man, they hold up. It still looks cool. It's a in high def, it still looks good, man.
It's those practical effects.
Yeah, a lot of practical effects that they just held up, and I dug it, man. And again, it's Billy Zane's show, though. It really, really is.
He shines in this movie. He absolutely shines in this movie. He is perfect, and he is having the time of his life, apparently. And his one-liners kill me. Give me the key breaker, for crying out loud. I mean, what bad guy talks like that?
I also like when he goes into kind of seductive mode. And so it's like, I kind of can't take this seriously, Billy Zane. But you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. No, but I mean, hey, my sister had a crush on Billy Zane. So I'm assuming that, the women in that movie would have a crush on Billy Zane as well.
It's certainly plausible. But he's not just seducing them with his own body and charms. He's trying to give those people exactly what they dream of. Right?
He is. I mean, if you think... Let's just talk a little bit about the plot right here.
Okay.
I know that you said that the idea might not be totally original. I like the plot. I thought it was cool. And so the bare bones plot is you have Billy Zane chasing down Sadler in the beginning. You don't know why. Mm-hmm. You find out that Sadler's holding on to this key thing, this relic, that has the blood of Jesus Christ in it.
Yes.
And with it, he's able to fight these demons, demons from hell. And Billy Zane is one of the top guys. And if he gets this key, he's in line for a big promotion, essentially.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, you'd have to say that Billy Zane, he's not the devil. He's a devil. He's evil.
He's a demon.
He's a demon. Yes. And he's one of the higher up ones. So he has these abilities, much like the devil does, to, promise people certain things or give them the illusion of their deepest, darkest desires. And that's what he taps into in this movie. I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool. And, the flashbacks to like, being in like World War II and then, the Stations of the Cross and stuff like that. A little cheesy. I still liked it.
It's cheesy, maybe, yes. But I love the way they shot some of those scenes.
Oh, yeah.
The crucifixion scene is absolutely beautiful.
Great crucifixion scene, as sad as that sounds. It's like, oh, well, the way that Jesus was being nailed into that cross was pretty swell. But no, it was cool. It was cool looking. And I think that's one of the surprising things is it's a well-made film. It's not a schlocky horror film. There's a lot of thought and a lot of care that went into this. And the direction of it is pretty stellar.
Yes.
For what it is. And now, I was a huge fan of the Tales from the Crypt show. Did you watch it?
I've only seen a handful of episodes.
I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I haven't watched it in many years, but I was always watching it. I love Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I used to watch the Twilight Zone marathons all the time. And so Tales from the Crypt was kind of like, Twilight Zone-esque in many ways. A little bit more gorier and with boobs. So,
So perfect.
It was perfect for me when I was younger. So I was into Tales from. I remember Sadler being on the Tales from the Crypt episode, and I'm glad that he showed up and did the movie as well. So it was really neat that this was kind of it was a feature length Tales from the Crypt episode.
Excellent. You think it stayed true to the spirit of the show?
Yes and no.
Okay.
My first initial feeling is that yes, in an anthology kind of story, it fits in with the stories that they told. But I think overall, there's not like a lesson learned. There's not like because in a way, like Tales from the Crypt is almost like Aesop's Fables. There was always kind of a, something bad happened or some kind of lesson that you learn from it, or the Crypt Keeper saying something smarmy at the end, like, well, I guess he shouldn't have shaved that axe, or it's like something like ridiculous. Yeah. And I think that's less in Demon Knight. But I think if you were to put the 3 Tales from the Crypt movies together with the show, I think Demon Knight's the one that fits the best.
Okay. But Geraldine, Jada Pinkett at the time, she learns a lesson. She should have been happy to stay in the church.
Yeah.
Now she's the new Demon Knight. She's going to see the world.
She will. She'll see the world, and she'll eventually die and have to put her blood into this key thing and pass it on to someone else. I like that. It's just the at this point now, it's like, how much Jesus blood is in there? Like,
it's pretty diluted by now,
right?
Isn't it?
So how's this like being effective against demons?
Well, I figured, it's always there at some point. Maybe it's just when it touches the blood, it's still just as powerful. I don't know. They didn't break down the rules that much.
Yeah, maybe it's like when someone else's blood touches the Jesus blood, then it also becomes Jesus blood.
Yeah. Dan, I went to Catholic school. They tried to teach us that grape juice was blood.
So. There you go. Why can't people just get like a jug of wine and throw it at these demons? So, the blood of Christ. Here you go. Like, wouldn't that work?
Yeah, you would think it worked in From Dusk Till Dawn, blessing the holy water. But yeah, no, you were talking about the cast, and yeah, they are all actually good. It's really interesting. This is a very, very interesting group of actors they assembled. Jada Pinkett, William Sadler, Billy Zane, CCH Pounder, Thomas Haden Church.
Thomas Haden Church, yeah. Right before the show, we were kind of talking about his career arc in many ways. He was on a TV show at the time.
Yeah, Wings. He was Lowell.
Yep. And then he kind of fell off for a while, and then he had, I guess, his big comeback was Sideways with Paul Giamatti. And, so yeah, no, it was a very interesting cast, and they all seemed like they had a good time. It seemed like it was probably a cool set, and they probably had some fun. And I think they should be proud of the movie that they put out, and the fact that it has a cult following, and that it did bounce back after a poor reception in theaters. Did it have a poor reception?
It had a poor critical reception.
Poor critical reception, but it actually made some money, though.
It did.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, hey, made some cash. That's always nice.
It definitely made some cash. I mean, because some horror movies, they're shot on a fairly low budget, and they all usually make their money back. And it's got a 6.7 on IMDb, which is, with their weighted rating system, that's right about average. So it's not a hated movie by any stretch.
No, it's a good horror movie. It's got comedy elements, which, I mean, horror comedy, tough to pull off.
Yeah, is that the hardest subgenre to pull off?
I think it's probably the hardest. It's really tough to do. And you think of some of the better horror comedies. We spoke about one not too long ago, Fright Night.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the top ones. Reanimator. I think Reanimator is a great horror sci-fi comedy mix.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's tough to pull off. I think Demon Knight did a good job. I think, as you mentioned, Billy Zane's one-liners, fantastic, really funny, cool stuff.
Oh yeah. I think probably one of the reasons it did not do well, at least, I don't know, with critics. Critics in horror movies never go well. But they released it in the graveyard of January.
Yeah, well, that's maybe a month earlier it would have been nominated for an Oscar.
Well, yeah. They missed that Oscar cycle. But really, I mean, throwing it out in January, that's just covering a slot. They didn't give it a good place to thrive.
No, and you always wonder, it's like, well, why aren't these movies just, if it fell behind production, right? If it was supposed to come out in October of the previous year, you know what? What's the point? Just sit on it until October the following year,
I don't understand either. I really don't.
I mean,
are we going to suppose from that studios are sometimes so hard up they need that turnaround much quicker? They can't sit on it for.
I think that's part of it. Is we have this movie. It's going to make some cash. Let's put it out.
Let's get some money back out.
Let's get some money back instead of trying to make even more money. Turn this money into another movie. I mean, that's the smaller film kind of philosophy anyway. A smaller production company philosophy. Make what money you can. Make the next film. Yeah, I think much like climate change, the industry in general is going to change of when movies come out and what's considered like dead zone time and what's not. I think it's all going to change. Because just think about it. Years ago, you wouldn't have said blockbuster month would be May.
No.
That's not summer blockbuster. Think about all the big movies that are coming out in May and have come out in May in recent years. And I think we'll call it like the Captain America effect, right? That was
of major blockbusters coming out earlier and earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think people are just going to keep going earlier and earlier. I mean, if you have a blockbuster movie, people are going to go see it. It doesn't matter if it's 2 degrees. People are going to put on their long johns, go see a big film. Yeah,
it is surprising to me that they haven't done that already. I mean, they have to have statistical analysis to show them that certain movies would do better at certain times.
Get Billy Bean in there, have him figure it out.
There you go.
Bring in some sabermetrics. Yeah. Just get it going. But I think one of my biggest issues is putting out a film in a time that just makes zero sense. Why are you putting out a horror film in January? It's Christmas time. It's holiday time. Why are you putting out this horror film? I don't get that.
I don't either.
People want to see horror films when? In October.
Yeah, like, October, right.
September, October, November, like that's a good time. Put out a horror film. People like to see that stuff. But there's a lot of horror stuff. I mean, I guess horror is one of those things that comes out yearly, like throughout the year.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, like
there's just so much of it.
Like I said, In the Mouth of Madness came out about 2 weeks later in 1995.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I know everybody's in a bad mood in January and February, but come on now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Another thing I find really interesting about this flick is it's a hard R. And that just seems like so refreshing. It's such a breath of fresh air to get a hard R. If this was made now, it would be PG-13. And that kid that's in the movie, if this is a PG-13 movie, he's going to be annoying, and they wouldn't have the balls to kill him.
Right. It's going to be Jake Lloyd, and he's going to survive.
Yeah, right. I'm going to give the movie a lot of credit for that. Killing the kid. Wow.
Gotta kill the kid.
Yeah, he really should.
Gotta happen.
Yeah.
But he wasn't super annoying. Like I see kids in like TV shows and movies and stuff like that. And it's like, man, I want to just kick this kid in the ass.
This is coming from a parent, ladies and gentlemen.
I would never kick my own kid in the ass. Only these acting kids. They deserve it.
Yeah.
You know. One thing I would like to touch upon.
Yo.
Great soundtrack.
Oh, that's right. You're a big fan.
I'm a huge fan. I own the soundtrack. I owned it. I actually got the soundtrack before I even saw the movie. Like I knew of the soundtrack before I even saw the movie. Really cool stuff on it. You got, I'm not a huge fan of Filter, but I got a handful of songs, mostly on soundtracks. Hey Man, Nice Shot. That's a big song on it.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You got Ministry has a track on it. It's gonna sound so silly, but one of my favorite tracks on it is The Grave Diggers. I used to know all the lyrics to that song, and it's just like something like buck chicken, 'cause you just got fried, 'cause it's suicide.
Oh my
god. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm very, very white and terrible at rapping.
Hey.
But great soundtrack. I really, really love it. And, people should check it out. I think it's a fun time to listen to the soundtrack and check out the movie, too. I think a lot of people probably don't remember it too much or misremember it. But the people that do, there's a big following for it.
Yeah, and Screamcast just put out that new Blu-ray.
So. That's right. Yeah, I think it just came out, right?
Yeah, just like last week.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was packaged with Bordello of Blood too.
So wait, Bordello of Blood also, or Bordello of Blood
as
2?
As well.
Okay,
no.
All right.
Bordello
I did not know
Blood.
that there was a Bordello of Blood 2. So.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. Did you see Bordello of Blood?
Oh, I've seen them all. I've seen all three.
You've seen all three?
Yeah. Bordello of Blood it's not good. I'm sorry to say. Dennis Miller has a few good one-liners, but that's it. It's just not as good of a story. And part of the problem is it seemed like the producers in charge of Tales from the Crypt never knew exactly what they were going to do with their films. Demon Knight was floating in development hell. This was not a script for Tales from the Crypt. It was a totally separate horror movie. They had no plans on making this until it fell into their lap.
See, I wasn't aware of that. Like, who was involved in the development of it? Like,
names we know, people we've talked to. Tom Holland had it.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I know. Mary Lambert had it.
Huh.
Yeah. Charles Band.
Jeez.
And then it landed at Joel Silver's lap, and they decided, oh no, we're going to do this. This is going to be the Tales from the Crypt movie.
That would have been nice to see Charles get that.
Yeah. Instead of Frighteners from Dusk Till Dawn, which were also rumored to be Tales from the Crypt movies at one point.
That's right. That's right.
Movies, yeah.
And we'll actually be talking about Frighteners in a couple of weeks. So that's pretty awesome.
It is pretty cool. It's just really interesting. And so they had 2 other sequels planned, scrapped both those, came back with Bordello of Blood, made that. It did not do as well as Demon Knight. Then they in turn made a third one, the Jennifer Grey one, Ritual. Sold it to Miramax. Miramax cut the Tales from the Crypt name off of it and released it as its own separate horror movie.
Huh.
Just really weird stuff.
You would think Demon Knight was poised to have a sequel with Jada starring in it.
Yeah. It's not too late. Jada, come back to us.
You got to fight the demons. You have to be our knight.
There you go.
I'm sure there's some kind of Scientology joke in there as well. You know, fighting demons, something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's in there somewhere, yeah. My thetan level is way too high to comprehend that.
Cool flick. I'm glad that we checked it out.
That was a lot of fun. It was fun revisiting it. So I suppose that's going to wrap up this episode of the Movies and Stuff show. Please take a second, if you can, to subscribe to us here on YouTube. Or, head on over to Facebook and give us a like. That'll keep you up to date on what we're working on. And if you subscribe to YouTube or Facebook, that the next episode coming up is one where we're going to talk about Demon Knight with Sherry Rose.
Very cool.
She spent a good amount of time on set, but she sadly had a lot of her screen time cut.
But if we check out that Blu-ray, I'm sure some of that stuff will probably show up on the Blu-ray extras. And she was on the show.
A couple episodes
of the show. So we'll get her perspective on the show and her involvement with the movie, what she thought about working with that cast and the directing team, and we'll have a fun time.
I think so. So Dan, that's it. That's all I've got. Why don't you take us out here? Final words.
You just got fried, because it's a suicide.
That'll be the last time Dan does final words on movies and stuff.
This final words brought to you by the Grave Diggers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grave Diggers. Later, Abe.
Bye, Dan.